Hi and welcome to a new video. Today I want to show you how to make a Tunisian crochet lace collar that you can use if you, like me, get headaches from the heat. So when it's too hot outside and indoors as well, I get a headache because I overheat easily. But I discovered that when I use a piece of wet cloth and put it around my neck, my headaches subside. It's the same thing as if you were to put a wet cloth over your forehead. But usually these pieces of cloth don't stay in place and I don't like that very much, so I came up with this idea of creating just a collar that I can wet and put around my neck, and I have a loop with a button as well, and it stays on until it warms up. When it warms up, I can take it off, shake it, and then put it back for extra coolness. So if you like this idea, or if you just want to make a lace collar for yourself, you can follow along with this tutorial in which I will show you how to make one repeat of the pattern. In the written tutorial on my blog and in the PDF version, you will find instructions on how to make 3 sizes of this collar. This is the smallest size with 10 repeats of the pattern, and you have another version with 11 repeats and 3 extra rows. And then you have the version with 12 repeats and 6 extra rows when compared to the smallest version. So this should fit most neck sizes. And if you don't like things that are around your neck, just add more repeats and the piece will become larger. It will also tend to curl, so to prevent that, you can add more repeats of the basic rows, and I will tell you when to do that. Of course, if you want to use it as a cooling device, you should use cotton yarn for this. I have some examples here of basic cotton yarn, 100% cotton. When you wet it, it keeps the water in and the water evaporates very slowly. I recommend using the yarn that has 125 meters per 50 grams, like these two. You can also use the 8x4 cotton, but it has more meters per 50 grams. It has 170. You can also use some thicker cotton yarn. This one has 85 meters per 50 grams. It's your choice what you use. Depending on the thickness of the yarn, you will get a thicker fabric. If you use the thicker yarn, you can also choose to make one of the smaller sizes and then use a bigger hook and you will get the larger size. In this tutorial, I will be demonstrating with an acrylic yarn that has almost the same length per 50 grams as the yarn I recommended, but I don't recommend using acrylic if you want to make this collar to cool yourself off on hot days. This is just for demonstration purposes because it's easier to work with on camera. You also need a Tunisian crochet hook with a cable. Straight hooks don't work here because we need the flexibility of the cable. I used a 5mm hook for my sample. You can use a 5mm, 5.5 or 6mm depending on the thickness of your yarn. You also need a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle to finish off your project, and if you want to add a button, then you need a button as well. In this video, I will demonstrate how to make one full pattern repeat and the last stitch, and you will make as many repeats as you want depending on how many chains you start with. So to use this video, you follow along the instructions for one row, repeat these instructions until you reach the last stitch, and then do the last stitch, the return pass, and then we begin the next row. You do this until we reach the last row, where we will bind off with a picot edge to make it pretty. So let's begin. We begin as always with the slip knot on the hook, so we make a loop with the working yarn in front, insert the fingers through this loop from below and pick up a loop. Put it on the hook and pull on the working yarn to close this loop. Then we chain a multiple of 4 plus 1 chains. I will make 5 because I will demonstrate one pattern repeat and the last stitch. Then we pick up loops in the back bumps of the chains, and I will pick up 5 loops. The last one is the last stitch. And at the end of this row, I have 6 loops on the hook. Chain 1 and yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return for a regular return pass. Now we begin the pattern. We will be working in these 4 stitches. First we make one reverse stitch, so we go to the back of the work, insert the hook behind the vertical bar, pick up a loop. Then we have 1 yarn over. We don't skip a stitch, we make 1 reverse stitch, 1 yarn over, 1 reverse stitch, and 1 simple stitch. I added these simple stitches between the pattern repeats so that it's easier for you to count the stitches at the end of the row to make sure that you have enough stitches on the row to have the proper increase pattern. You can skip them. If you want to, you can make reverse stitches in this stitch as well, or you can replace all the reverse stitches with simple stitches, but in that case the collar will have a bit of a curl, so you will have to deal with that. Like this, the collar should have no curl at all because we have a lot of reverse stitches and we have some eyelets as well. So you repeat this sequence as many times as you need to reach the last stitch. If you made 10 repeats or 11 or 12 repeats of the pattern, you'll make 9 more or 10 more or 11 more repeats of this. At the end of the row, we insert the hook behind the 2 vertical bars, pick up a loop, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. This way we have increased by 2 stitches in every pattern repeat. Row 2 of the pattern repeat consists of simple stitches, so we insert the hook through each stitch or space and pick up a loop to make simple stitches to the end of the row. Then at the end of the row, we insert the hook behind the 2 vertical bars, pick up a loop, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. And on row 3, we have reverse stitches, 5 of them, and then 1 simple stitch, and we repeat this across. So we go to the back of the work, insert the hook behind the vertical bar of the stitch, and pick up a loop 5 times. And 1 simple stitch, so we insert the hook behind the front vertical bar and pick up a loop. We repeat this to the end of the row, and at the end we have the last stitch, insert the hook behind the 2 vertical bars, pick up a loop, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. Now we start row 4 with 1 reverse stitch, yarn over, don't skip anything, 3 reverse stitches, yarn over, 1 reverse stitch, and 1 simple stitch. Repeat this to the end of the row and do the last stitch, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. On the next row we again have simple stitches, so we pick up loops in the stitches and in the yarn over spaces all the way to the last stitch. Then we do the last stitch, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. And row 6, we now have 7 reverse stitches, and 1 simple stitch. Repeat this across, 7 reverse stitches, 1 simple stitch. Then we have the last stitch, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. If you feel like there is ruffling in the project and you want it to grow a bit slower, then you can add an extra row with 7 reverse stitches and 1 simple stitch here. If you like how it's growing, then we go on to row 7, where we begin with 1 reverse stitch, yarn over, don't skip a stitch, make 5 reverse stitches, yarn over, 1 reverse stitch without skipping anything, and 1 simple stitch. Last stitch, repeat this to the end of the row, then a last stitch, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. Next row we have simple stitches all the way to the end. At the end of the row we have the last stitch, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. Next row we have 9 reverse stitches and 1 simple stitch, and repeat that across. At the end of the row, make the last stitch, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. And then we start row 9. If you want to, you can work in the established pattern where you have the reverse stitch, yarn over, and then 7 reverse stitches and yarn over and continue like that. Or you can follow along with these instructions and make 1 reverse stitch, 1 yarn over, 2 reverse stitches, 1 yarn over, and now we make 3 reverse stitches together. To do that, we go to the back of the work and insert the hook through all 3 of the vertical bars in the back of the next 3 stitches and pick up a loop. This way we made a decrease over 3 stitches. So we decreased 2. Then we have 1 yarn over to compensate for that decrease, and then 2 reverse stitches. 1 yarn over, 1 reverse stitch, and 1 simple stitch. Repeat this to the end of the row, and then last stitch, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. And then we have the next row, a row of simple stitches, 1 loop picked up in the front loops and through the eyelets of the following stitches. At the end of the row, make the last stitch, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. And then next row we have 11 reverse stitches. And 1 simple stitch. Repeat that to the end of the row, then last stitch, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to return to the beginning of the row. As I said before, if you want the wedges to grow a bit slower, you should add an extra row of reverse stitches after each of these rows, so that the angle here is a bit smaller. And you can fit more wedges without having such a large circumference at the end. This is the end of the first size, and if you want to make it bigger, you add the next 3 rows, 1 reverse stitch, yarn over, 3 reverse stitches, yarn over, 3 reverse stitches work together. So on the back we search for the 3 vertical bars, yarn over, pick up a loop, yarn over, then 3 reverse stitches, 1 yarn over, 1 reverse stitch, 1 simple stitch. Repeat this to the end of the row, and then do the last stitch, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. Then you have the 2 rows as established before, 1 row of simple stitches, last stitch, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning to return, and now 13 reverse stitches plus 1 simple stitch, repeated to the end of the row. Last stitch, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. And now you can bind off if you're happy with the circumference of the collar right now. And if you're not and you want to make it even bigger, you can continue with the next 3 rows. We start with 1 reverse stitch, yarn over, 4 reverse stitches, yarn over, 3 together through the back, so 3 reverse stitches together, yarn over, 4 reverse stitches, yarn over, 1 reverse stitch, 1 simple stitch, and repeat that to the end of the row. And then do the last stitch, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. Then you add the row of simple stitches and the row of 15 reverse stitches and then 1 simple stitch, repeated to the end of the row. I will only make the row of simple stitches because I want to show you how to bind off in pattern. To bind off this piece, we will be making picots along the edge and then slipping as if to make reverse stitches into the next 3 stitches. So we make 1 slip stitch into the back vertical bar and we chain 3 to make a picot. Insert the hook in the back bump of the first chain and slip stitch. And now we make 3 reverse stitches here, but without keeping them on the hook, we slip them. Then we have 1 picot, and slip stitch into the next stitch to finish it off. And then we do 3 reverse stitches, bound off. In the last stitch, we slip stitch as if to make a reverse stitch here. And we are finished. Now you can continue doing slip stitches on this edge, and then when you reach the beginning chain here, you put 1 single crochet stitch in each of the starting chains to have a nice edge. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that you will make good use of this color in the hot summer days that are coming. And if you'd like to make a capelet with a similar idea, I have a pattern coming up, and I also have a pattern on the channel for a capelet also constructed in wedges like this, where I show you a full pattern repeat to make the capelet. And there are more patterns coming as always. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel and to my email updates if you want to know when I publish those patterns and videos. And I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in another video. Bye!